hit start recording, so apologies. So welcome everyone. This is the first in a series of webinars that we're planning to release, which is PLM modernization, and this is beginning the transition from PDM to PLM. Okay, so we've got many organizations that start their journey with simple CAD data management, okay, PDM within Windchill. But as products become more complex and collaboration of across teams is increased, and the need for that, the connected approach of PLM becomes a really clear path and logical next step for a lot of these businesses. So that's sort of the topic of today. So let me cycle through and we'll shift through. I'll skim over myself very briefly, but my name is Rory Island Bocop, Customer Success Manager here at PDS Vision. Come from a tech background, been here just over 10 years. And my job is really to help communicate and ensure that our customers get the information they need from us and maximize the use of and capabilities of the software that they already have or are looking to purchase from us. I've also got on the call with me a colleague of mine, Anton, who's extremely knowledgeable within the PLM and Windchill world, and he's on hand to answer any questions. So please do leverage the questions and chat function within the GoToWebinar software and fire away, and hopefully Anton will answer those as we go. I have also hopefully allocated some time at the end for Q&A, but we might be running a bit tight on that due to my late arrival. Quick overview agenda. So gives a bit of an introduction about PDS Vision. I appreciate we may have some people on the call that aren't maybe aware of who PDS Vision are. I then want to talk about the digital thread and do some key themes. Then we're going to get into the weeds a bit with the PDM and PLM transition. Okay. So PDS Vision, we're a global company of around 480 employees spanning across the globe and 15 countries. And we were founded in 2008. But here in the UK, before we were acquired by PDS Vision, we were Root Solutions. So we've been around for just over 30 years. And we've been working with customers throughout that entire time, helping them on their journey with either CAD software, PLM software, the entire PTC roster. So you're in very capable hands here. We have an extremely strong position in services. So across PLM, systems engineering, simulation, functional safety, risk management, we've got over 300 technical specialists across those 15 countries that are on hand to assist you and guide you through some of these more complex but more challenging progressions within your business. Okay. We also have an entire suite of in-house developed applications called the MyPDS app suite, which are tools and functions that we've put together based off customer feedback that really fill in the gaps that sometimes PTC miss. PTC have their own customer base, which tends to be a much larger business portfolio. So their customers don't always align with our customers' needs. So we filled in the gaps there through communicating with our customers and developed our own suite of products to assist and expand upon the functionality of PTC's capabilities. I wanted to start though with more of a big picture and just position where PDM to PLM, where does that sit in the overall picture with PTC products and our vision. So that falls under the digital thread. So I'll just make a bit of a statement here for the digital thread. So that digital thread it's basically the seamless flow of data across an entire product lifecycle. Okay, and in doing that, we connect people, processes, and systems from initial design through manufacturing, service, and actually beyond that. And it ensures that everyone from engineering to the shop floor or out in the field has access to the right data, accurate data, and at the right time. Okay, and that enables better collaboration. You can make decisions faster within a business, and your efficiency across that product lifecycle is improved drastically. Okay, so we're talking about PDM to PLM today, and many companies that we see out there operate in silos. Okay, so you've got engineering, manufacturing, maybe your supply chain, service teams, and all of these different departments tend to use different systems, and things get thrown over the wall. It's not a complete silo, otherwise nothing would ever get done. But we have these silos, and moving from a PDM system to a PLM system really can enable a better flow of information and help break down those silos. Okay. So in doing that, again, we can improve that cross-functional collaboration between manufacturing on the shop floor or engineering, service. Okay, where you can have better traceability. So if you're working in heavy regulated industries with a lot of constraints, being able to map out and find the path of your products when it comes to auditing, let's say, is an extreme benefit of sort of leveraging something like a PLM tool. Okay, and this first step of going from PDM to PLM is a really key stage. PLM is really the backbone of enabling a wider digital thread within your business. So I wanted to talk about that digital thread because this step here, this journey that we're talking about today, really enables this wider capability. So if this is something you're interested in within your business, is becoming more digital and enabling a digital transformation, this is really the first step. Okay. So I want to highlight some key themes of today's presentation. I'm going to try and reference these as we sort of go through. But the first one is unlocking that untapped potential. So many organizations are underutilizing Windchill as merely a PDM system, just managing your CAD and document files. Okay. And transitioning into a PLM tool can offer many benefits. Okay. It's also practical and feasible. Okay, it's not overwhelmingly complex or impossible to move from PDM to PLM. We've done it multiple times. That's not me saying it's easy. Okay, moving to PLM has its challenges, and you really do require a want and a willingness from the business, and you need the buy-in from the business to make that change. That's the biggest challenge. It's often an internal friction that we face that stands in the way of progressing when it comes to moving from a PDM system to a PLM system. Okay, I'm also going to try and highlight the value of moving to PLM throughout the presentation. So I just wanted to pull up some key themes of things I've been thinking about when I've been putting this presentation together. So let's talk about PDM and PLM. I want to make sure we're all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet to start with. So I'm going to sort of project my opinion, or well, not my opinion, but our opinion of what PDM is, what PLM is, so we're all aligned. So PDM, product data management, is the use of software to help organizations connect and communicate product information across distributed teams where multiple product development tools may be used. Okay. So an important aspect of PDM, let's call it for short, is the ability to enable collaboration and ensure that all of your members of staff or teams, no matter where they're located, whether that be in different time zones or different parts of the country, or using different software tools, are working with the most up-to-date and accurate product data that is in the business at that point in time. Okay, and that is achieved by controlled use and maintenance of that data, those CAD files, mechanical files, electrical files, whatever it may be, documents. Okay. Leveraging a PDM system, we gain some benefits. Hopefully, all of you on here are leveraging these benefits at the moment. But you have that centralized storage location where people know where to go and find the latest version of a product or a part. You have versioning and full history with backups, so you can afford to, if something goes wrong, you can retrieve all of that. We can reduce duplication, having everyone working from the same location. You're not having people pass information around the business with various different copies of that. Okay. With a PDM tool, you get full revisioning control, okay, and different states that your products can be in, letting the business know where that product is on its journey. Okay, we then have visualizations which can aid in communicating ideas and help retrieving products within a PDM tool. Within Windchill, we leverage Creo View for that viewing capability. And within a PDM tool, we're, especially in Windchill, we're talking multi-CAD. Creo obviously is our CAD package, but we have the ability to support and maintain the other major vendors as well, SolidWorks, CATIA, NX. Okay. So that's a little highlight of PDM. As I said, wanted to make sure that we all thinking the same things. Let's have a look at PLM then. So Product Lifecycle Management provides a unified platform for managing product-related data, processes, and workflows across the entire product lifecycle. Okay, it centralizes all product information, regardless of type, within a single system, and that enables better collaboration, better traceability, and a whole host of other different advantages as well. Okay. So PLM is really the backbone of your product development process. Okay. And if we talk about PLM, Product Lifecycle Management, let's have a look at it in terms of a product. So all products go through a life cycle, okay, and they all go from conception through to no doubt end of life, okay, and that entire process is a managed and curated one. It goes beyond just CAD and design in our engineering teams. Okay, it encompasses things like maybe simulation, testing, and validation, where we can ensure that our products are refined and perfected to the best of their capabilities. And from there, we may move into manufacturing and process planning, okay, where we can bring those visions into reality. Our sales and marketing teams then maybe need to get involved to make sure that our products reach their intended target market. We then need to maybe pull in service to ensure that the longevity of our products out in the field. And then finally, things come around to the end of life or go back round the circle again. But if it does come to end of life, we are all now responsible as a business to ensure that we dispose of and we dispose of our products in a sustainable and environmentally conscious way. So our products all go through a life cycle of some degree, whether it's this one on screen or a variation of, but PLM is a tool to design to manage that. So where does that differ? So PDM is often an engineering tool. When we're talking about PLM, it's broader and it starts to involve the wider business beyond the, engineering. So on screen here is a few examples of where PLM can take you. Some things you can see here, like document and CAD data management and visualizations. These are something we're leveraging already in PDM, but they're still present in a PLM tool as well. You're not losing that functionality. It's still there. We're still doing all of that, but it broadens out. So we can start including things like manufacturing, start working on process planning, routings, and work instructions from the shop floor. Maybe we're talking about project management. We want to align and start formulating our projects within our PLM tool. Or it could be maybe you actually want to collaborate with third parties, different businesses. How can you share your data and those third parties share data with you in a controlled environment? We have tools in PLM to it's basically like a Dropbox or OneDrive, but within a PLM tool. So we've got tools and features for that. As products get more complex, you can start having multiple different options and variants of your designs. Think of a lorry. You can have so many different variants that a customer could purchase. How do you manage that and structure that in a way that means your business can carry on functioning? Could be quality, supplier management. Maybe you want to start dictating down to your engineers which is your preferred supplier, or if they've got a roster of components that they could choose from to build in within an assembly. How do they know which one they should be choosing? We can start dictating that, or classifying and better organization of our product data, so we can reduce rework and duplication of data and reuse what's already there available. So as you can see, this is just a cherry-picked a few examples of where PLM can be broadened out to the wider business. But at the core of that is managing your bill of materials. This is where it kind of all starts, and I'm going to focus a little bit on that within this presentation. We've got some more episodes coming up where we focus down on these, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an initial look, because this is really the backbone of broadening out to the wider PLM universe. So let's talk a little bit about the BOM. I say we've got another couple of episodes coming up about BOM management, but I want to give everyone a picture of where we're going to be starting. So first of all, how we differ with a PLM tool and Windchill, we're talking about what we call a part-centric approach. Okay, so a part-centric approach focuses on managing and organizing product information around parts rather than drawings or documents. So in PDM, we might be managing those individual documents. When we're moving to PLM, we're starting to talk about managing parts. And these parts are, the things that we manufacture, the tangible, real products. We manage that rather than the individual documents. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and dive down into a bit more detail. So if we think of a part, the technical term within Windchill is a Windchill technology part. Okay, and that's what we're going to manage. And this is like a reference card. So if we have a part, and this is again is representing the physical product, we have all the information required referenced to that part that describes it. So drill 400 here, we've maybe got some CAD data to define its form, fit, and function. We may have the requirements that were the initial spec to define what this drill is supposed to be doing. Viewables derived from the CAD data. Maybe we've got manufacturing or the 2D drawing to define the manufacturing process. And we could have a whole roster of other information that we're using to reference that part. Once you've defined parts, okay, we can then organize them and formulate them into a structure, a product structure, okay, i.e. a bill of materials, with all of these individual elements referencing the associated data. And this is what we're managing within the PLM tool, okay, not these individual elements because they're referenced. So when we're managing these, all this comes with this. And that makes it really easy. If a requirement changes, we can easily trace that down to what parts that's going to affect. Or maybe it's this clutch here. If this clutch changes in engineering, okay, well, we can easily identify that maybe actually this drill is part of a series. We've got the 500 and the 600. And this clutch is actually used in all of those series. So you can start performing these accurate impact analysis as soon as you start trusting your engineering bill of materials. So when we're going from PDM to PLM, obviously we have some data already within our PDM tool, and we've got these CAD structures. We kind of ignore the drawings here. If we just focus on the structure, and what we can do is we can relate that CAD data, because if it's in CAD, chances are we're going to be manufacturing it and building it. And we can take that structure and we can replicate it using these WT parts sort of placeholders, these reference cards, and build up a structure. But as an engineering bill of materials, this is not fully defined. There are things in an EBOM that we don't build in CAD, lubricant, paints, those sorts of things. We also have data from other parts of the business, maybe like marketing or maybe a different system like ECAD. Okay, so PCBs, maybe you've got a user manual in there. So if there's something that goes into defining your engineering, there's something that goes, let me start that again. If there's something that goes into defining your product, it should be in your engineering bill of materials, okay? And then all of those individual components reference the information required to describe that part, okay? And doing that is the core of a PLM, and that enables all of this, all of those wider ranging topics that I covered in that previous couple of slides. So once you have that effective EBOM and you trust that EBOM, which is really important, you can then start performing, accurate where use searches. I mentioned that clutch. You can find out what parts or products that's going to be involved in. If you do have a change, you can perform an accurate impact analysis on what that's going to affect. Is it going to affect any downstream processes? Something else that we can do is start deriving associated bill of materials. So going from an engineering BOM into a manufacturing BOM or a service BOM. And when you have it all connected in a PLM tool, you can easily understand what change impact is going to have. You can also then start thinking about options and variants and managing various different configurations of your products. Okay. So let's talk now about that process of transitioning from PDM to PLM. Hopefully we're all on the same wavelength now. So how do you think about transitioning from one to the other? The first step for me is assessing and defining your current state. You have to understand where you currently are with your current PDM system. Okay, so having a look at your current Windchill environment, understanding how it's currently configured, focusing on what modules you're leveraging. Are you leveraging some WT parts already? Are you leveraging some workflows? What documents are you managing within your PDM tool? Okay, and map that out. Okay. Once you've done that and you've got a good understanding of where you currently sit, you can then have a look at the basically do a bit of a gap analysis of PDM and PLM and identify what you need in order to start your progression along the PLM path. Okay. Do you have it? As I said, do you have any part data in your system already? Is it clean? Do you trust it? That's a really big one. You might have some information in there, but do your users trust it? That's critical. We always had this thing called getting your house in order before you start this journey, making sure that the data is in there is good data. Okay, and is it under full version control? If you don't have version control yet, you've got to think about that as another critical piece of the puzzle before moving forwards. So assess where you currently are, and I understand the gap between where you are and base PLM. The next thing then is to define a vision of PLM adoption. Okay, what is your business perspective of PLM? We often paint really nice blue sky thinking pretty pictures of what PLM is, and so do PTC. But you have your own business to run, and all businesses have their own limitations and quirks, and you need to make sure that your vision of PLM aligns to your business. Okay, we can paint those pictures for you and show you roads to go down, but ultimately you have to make that call. So you need to set some clear goals on what it is you're looking to achieve with your PLM tool. Okay, it could be centralizing your data so everyone's accessing it from the same location. Maybe you need to get a grip of change within the business and formalize some better best practices and standardize your change management. It could be improving collaboration. It could be a whole host of different things. Okay. We always say, I think it's always great to paint a blue sky picture, see what the art of the possible is. But when it comes down to executing, we don't want to be boiling the ocean in that sense. We need to be logical in the steps that we take to execute. Okay. At this point, I also think it's really important to define some success criteria, and then we're going to jump back to this at the end. But when you're at the start of this journey, it's a really good idea to have some metrics that you can measure, that when you reach the end of this journey or a portion away along the journey, you can revise that success criteria and identify whether or not you have been successful. Often you have a gut feeling, but if you're trying to position this to the business, gut feelings aren't always best. It's good to have some metrics that we set out at the start and you monitor throughout, that you can realize if you were successful at the end. Okay. Also really important to engage stakeholders at this part. Okay, at this time, bring in those different departments: engineering, manufacturing, procurement, anyone who's going to be affected by this change to PLM. You need to have them involved. You need to make them aware and get their buy-in throughout this process. Throughout this, I think it's also important. You should be getting us involved as well. We have a whole host of capabilities and experience in progressing businesses through this transition, and it's free to pick up the phone and have a chat with your account manager about these processes. We've got so many talented individuals within this business who are extremely adept in carrying out these transitions, that you should leverage us, especially on the next bit of this step, which I think is to start defining a roadmap. Okay, that might be a phased implementation, often is, but start planning out your journey of how you're going to execute this process. And this is something that we often get involved with a lot of businesses, is this roadmap phase. Once we've done the thinking and the exploration, planning out this roadmap. Okay. One thing that I see a lot, and it's something that we've done a few times, is have dedicated sessions. We see that our customers are extremely good at identifying what their business requires. Okay, whether that's like a business initiative of I don't know, gaining market share, or trying to reduce scrap within the business, or trying to be greener and introduce more economical, environmentally friendly methodologies within the business. Really good at that, or identifying particular challenges that they're facing within the business, or individuals have certain KPIs or metrics that they're trying to achieve. Our customers are really, really good at that. But where that can often fall down is then linking that want and need to the tools that they have available to them. And this is something that we've done multiple different times, is running specific sessions of linking your business initiatives to the tools of the trade that we know. So if you do want to gain market share, how can you leverage the PLM tool to do that? That's where we can step in. So if that is of interest to you, again, reach out to us and speak to us. We do this all the time, so you should leverage that. Okay, step 3 then is basically, starting to enact on that roadmap. Start enabling those core PLM capabilities. Start going beyond just CAD and document management. Start leveraging the parts and start building up your product structures, defining workflows, all of these sorts of things. It's basically sort of beginning the execution of your roadmap. 3 and 4, actually, I think these are somewhat interchangeable. These are all somewhat interchangeable, but onboarding users is extremely important. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the challenges we face in the transition from PDM to PLM come from an internal friction. Okay, and so you need to make sure that your users are on board with the change. Often, the lion's share of the work ends up on your end users, and unless within the business you paint a clear picture of why these changes are happening, these end users often end up having on the front of it, you can be blinded by just the upfront work. There's often more work involved for your end users, and if you don't paint that clear picture of why this change is happening and what the benefit is to the business, you can get a lot of kickback. Okay, and we see that not all the time, but quite a lot of the time. It's a really key step, and alongside that is training. Okay, so if you're going to paint, you can paint the clearest picture in the world to these users of why the business is going to make this change. But if you don't give them the tools and capabilities to adapt and leverage that change and the new systems that come into place, again, it's going to fall over, because as I said before, the lion's share of the work falls on your end users. Okay, so you need to make sure that they're on board, they understand why the change is happening, and they're equipped to adapt to it when that change comes into place. Okay. Monitoring and optimizing. Again, this goes back to step 2 here. How do you know you were successful in this journey? And I think this is key to say, this is a journey, and you often don't really reach the end of a PLM journey because your business changes, your requirements change, and the scope changes. So it's a continuous cycle, really. But at each stage of your development through to PLM, there are major benefits in doing so. But you need to be able to understand as and when you have been successful. Okay, and that goes back to setting that success criteria early, so you've got some metrics that you can rely on to understand if you were successful or not. Okay, if you weren't successful, you've got to speak to, again, your end users, the people that are involved in it, and understand why we weren't successful. If you're expecting to try and improve your change process, but you've realized that people have started to revert back to the old ways of working, you speak to them and understand why that is. Maybe we didn't paint a clear enough picture, and the upfront effort of using the new system was too much, and they've just gone back to the old way. Or maybe we missed something important in the changeover, in the transition. You need to understand that and gather that feedback from your users. And then beyond that, optimize, iterate and expand. As I said, it's a journey, and there's lots and lots of capabilities beyond that initial transition of PDM to PLM, and moving on beyond that. That could be project management or supplier management. It could be or a whole host of other things. I don't know, connecting to ThingWorks and an IoT network and smart connected products. Could be anything. There's a whole host of things to be done. Okay, I said I put this in number 6, but do leverage us. You know, we're here. We've got 30 plus years of experience, and I have the privilege of working with some extremely talented colleagues who are far more adept at PLM than I ever will be. You know, Anton on the call today, hopefully answering some of your questions in the background, is one of those. So, as I said, it's free to have these conversations with us, and you should get us involved in these discussions. So please do, and of course our training and support go along with that. The final step in that journey, I think, then is to communicate that success. You know, once you've monitored and you're leveraging those success criteria, you need to communicate that back to the business. You know, publicize those success stories, both maybe internally and externally. You know, as I said, those end users are the ones who often do the lion's share of the work. Present it back to them. Look, we set out to do this with your hard work. We've gone and achieved that. And if you want to share those success stories with us, we love a good success story. So, but I do think it's a really key step, and it sort of brings it all back to a nice close for everyone involved with the entire process. So those are my sort of 7 steps from PDM to PLM. This next slide then, just a little bit of a rough broad roadmap of the approach that you can take. So we're talking about PDM to PLM here, going from CAD data management, document management, through into a wider business tool, okay, with getting control of your engineering bill of materials, and then looking to expand beyond that, maybe BOM transformation into a manufacturing bill of materials. So a whole host of different items that we can have a look. There are also something else that we've not talked about today, but expanding visibility of data within PLM. There are lots of different departments within a business, maybe like purchasing or I don't know, quality maybe, who or down on the shop floor require information out of the PLM tool, but don't really necessarily need to get into the weeds with the whole tool. So we've got products like Windchill Navigate that enable you to pull information and retrieve information from a simple UI for those users. So 2D drawing maybe on the shop floor, or a product structure for someone in purchasing maybe. So a whole host of things there. And then you're moving on to more enterprise level operations for enterprise change, full CM2 compliant change processes, maybe linking to downstream ERP. You know, once you trust your bill of materials, you can then feed that down into things like ERP. Okay, and then maybe moving on into augmented reality and supply management. Okay. So why do we want to move on to PLM? Well, PLM enables that full product lifecycle visibility and collaboration across the business. Okay. Again, we're centralizing all of that data so people know where to go. You have that single source of truth. And really importantly, people can rely upon the data that they're retrieving from Windchill. Yeah. If you have a problem with duplication, consolidating all of that into one location gives people confidence in the data that they're looking at. Streamline processes, improve efficiencies across the business, and hopefully reduce errors, and ultimately, hopefully, getting your products out to market faster, in a more reliable, and hopefully a better quality product at the end of it. Okay. And tying back to that digital thread right at the start, again, I strongly believe. This is why PLM. Sorry, I need to make an adjustment there. We don't want to move from PDM to PLM. And that step is really the first step to a wider digital thread within the business. Yeah, PLM really is the backbone of enabling all of these good things that come from that. Okay, so let's have a look at what's next then. So obviously this is the first in the series of this webinar. So there are many more. We've got 5 more episodes to go through. So the next one we're going to have a bit of a deeper dive into bill of materials management, okay, and focus more on that part-centric approach. We then have advancing that part-centric approach to your bill of materials, again, further expansion. Configuration management, we've got topics on governance and traceability, and then teamwork, productivity, and quality. So please do make sure you have a look. You can access this on our events page. So if you just Google PDS Vision events, you can find all of our latest webinars, and please do subscribe to those as we go through, okay, and join us on these next ones. Okay, I don't know if anyone has any questions. Have we had questions in the chat? Yeah, okay. I think Anton's been doing a great job at answering those as we go through. Let's have a look. I'll just read a couple out potentially. So I was wondering, what is the range of our participants on this webinar in terms of business structure? Okay, that's actually not really much of a, it's fairly specific. Let's maybe not do that one. How easy is it or straightforward is it to link PLM and ERP? Any samples or examples? So yeah, it can be quite straightforward to achieve, but of course that does really depend on what level of integration you're looking for with ERP integration and which directions you want to go. That's a difficult one to answer in a short term, but yeah, it's that classic answer. It can be as simple or as complex as you like, but it's not overly complex. Okay. How easy is the integration between Windchill and Microsoft Dynamics 365? Good question. It's not sure I have the knowledge on that one. Anton, I don't know if you're there available to talk about that one live. Are you have audio access?
Good morning, Rory. Good morning, all. Yes, I'm live.
Good.
Off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That specific question. So if I'm honest, yes, I'm not
problem.
sure.
As I say, as always, with all of these questions, if we can't answer them now, we take them offline and we'll write them all up and present those all back to you. So yeah, we'll take that one offline and have a look. What else have we got here? Does Windchill work with any CAD package like SolidWorks? So yes, most definitely we work with SolidWorks. We support most of the major CAD vendors, so CATIA, NX, SolidWorks. Any more off the top of your head, Anton, that you can think of?
I can confirm the work group managers work very well within Windchill these days, and they have done for quite some time. All the major CAD vendors products are supported in Windchill and can fully map to some of these slides that Rory was taking you through regarding the part-centric approach. So it's not just the PTC data set, of course, which is Creo. The same principles will apply, whether it's CATIA data, SolidWorks, NX, etc.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I think that's pretty much. What else have we got? Oh, we've got a few more come through. Oh, they're coming through thick and fast now. What are the methods of migrating the existing or legacy parts? How can it be done with minimal disruption?
I suppose it depends what we mean by parts.
Yeah.
So we would need clarification there. However, there are a few ways where we can do it. We have some loading tools from a database perspective, so sort of bulk migration, if you want to call it that, or bulk loading tools. You can also do it via a spreadsheet. If it also depending on quantity, really, that would probably drive it. If you had tens and tens of thousands of objects to migrate into a target Windchill instance, we'd probably use some bulk tools, which give us some additional flexibilities to the kind of attribute values, etc., and data mapping, if that's the case. But
Okay.
there are 3 or 4 methods we can use.
Yep. Okay. Um, what are some high-level benefits of using Creo Windchill over Creo and so what are the high-level benefits of using Creo and Windchill over maybe Creo and Teamcenter? I suppose obviously some of the major ones are you're working with both PTC applications, so there's a deeper integration between Creo and Windchill than maybe you might get with Creo and Teamcenter. Obviously, there's a bit of a common theme in the overall view and interaction of Windchill and Creo. They're somewhat similar than Teamcenter.
Rory, where it
Yeah.
really would come into play is
Hmm.
a full digital transformation. So, as you correctly pointed out, of course, Creo is fully embedded into the Windchill suite. And when we
Yep.
start looking at requirements capture, systems engineering integration, also model-based definition. So these, are really high-level digital transformation projects, and can benefit companies hugely if these topics are relevant. This sits seamlessly with Creo and the data set, the part-centric approach that sits inside PLM. So I can't speak for Teamcenter, but those, some of those topics and subject matters which are on your slide deck,
Yep.
it's the full integration you're going to get with Creo and Windchill, not, of course, another vendor's CAD package.
Perfect. Thanks, Anton. That's great. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll take them offline. If purchasing is done, if purchasing is done via ERP, would you pull back into PLM the price information, or would that be kept in the ERP tool? What do you think, Anton, on that?
No, fitness for purpose. So the pricing structure and that type of activity, keep that directly in your ERP system. And what is the better method from a digital transformation point of view, or preferred method, should I say, is an integration of your EBOM or MBOM. So if you start to have a manufacturing BOM inside Windchill, which is the formation and structure of that BOM is more conducive to the manufacturing plant or plants that you use, and the order of events, because you're starting to display that in an MBOM. That's how you would perform an integration between Windchill and your ERP system. So on release of the MBOM inside Windchill, you would fire that information across via an ERP connector to your ERP system, and then they would take over from there. But pricing structure, that type of thing, it's our experience and opinion that should be kept in the ERP system where it belongs.
Okay, great. Let's have one more, maybe. Let's. Struggling to choose one. We've got quite a few coming through. Oh, that's the same question I've just read out. Does Windchill have a cloud-hosted SaaS platform? Is it based on a modular software architecture? Anton,
Yes, it does. It can do. You can have it on premise or you can have it on cloud. We have
Yeah.
a mixture of both customers with
Yeah.
us at the moment.
I think it's also worth adding on top of that, we also have our own hosted solution, okay, where we take the onerous of a lot of the IT infrastructure and administration side of Windchill. So we've got multiple different options for a more SaaS-based approach to Windchill, and that's definitely worth reaching out to us, and we can expand a bit more on those topics. But yeah, we have you covered on that. Okay. Anton, I think we'll take the rest offline and we'll write them all up and hand them out to everyone so everyone's got copies. Do you have any final words or comments based upon your experience on the progression of PDM to PLM? Anything? Fine, I'll put you on the spot a bit there, but if you have anything to share, please do.
No, no. I think you've explained it well. I think what we tend to see is, engineering departments. They really go to town, and they're quite fastidious in the way they create that data set. Typically, how involved that data set is, with rich information, attribute information, etc. That EBOM that they're probably they're defining in EBOM, of course. I'll talk about Creo, but the same obviously applies no matter which CAD tool that you're using. And usually the engineers, they really go to town, and they're quite fastidious in making sure that EBOM and that structure, whether it's a 7-tier assembly, or however complex that assembly structure is. I found many times when going to company sites that it's very rich and it's usually very accurate. But of course, it's in a PDM world, typically it's only kept inside the engineering department, and the other departments don't really get visibility of that rich data set. So when we start to go into, what we try and do, what we try to deploy and engage with a company is that transition of actually moving that engineering data, obviously in a controlled manner. That's very important. It's one of the major points of a PLM system. So in a controlled manner, but you make that engineering data available to the relevant departments, whether that's just via the UI or ThingWorx Navigate, which is a much easier tool to use. There's less information in that UI, much more simpler way of viewing the data. So very quick to get to drawings, to get to parts list, to get to individual parts themselves if you want to interrogate the shape, the geometry, or if somebody wants to actually interrogate some geometrical information, even model-based definition information. So as I say, I think probably quite a few customers on here will have been using a PDM approach for quite some time. So they've got this rich data sitting there in that database. Probably departments, maybe within those companies that don't realize how rich that data set is, but more importantly, how useful and accurate that data set is. So the idea is, Rory, we want to push that out into the relevant departments in a controlled manner to start getting those benefits.
I think that's a really good point, Anton. Yeah, no, thank you for covering that. I think that's absolutely spot on. Okay, thank you, everyone.
I've seen manufacturing complain that an MBOM is incorrect. I've gone to see an EBOM, and guess what? It's correct. Engineers are very fastidious. I like to class myself as an engineer if I can. My degree is mechanical engineering, so I'm still there at heart, and I like to see the end product. But yeah, they're a very fastidious bunch of people, engineers, and they like to do things correctly. So they fit with PLM very easily.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining again. Please do register for the next episodes in the series if you found this one interesting. Again, do reach out to us. But from myself, thank you, and Anton, I'm sure as well. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
Goodbye, everybody.